sometimes I do actually.
That's beautiful. Oh yeah, man.
YouTube. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jason, and I currently own a Harley Davidson Iron 883. A few weeks ago, I just upgraded to a 1250 Hammer Performance Kit. If you're interested, check out my previous videos where I talk about what it's like, how it performs, and all that other good stuff. So I just finished breaking in the 1250 kit. I would have been able to do it sooner, but it's been raining quite a bit here in the DC area. But I'm finally glad to say I've surpassed the recommended 500-mile break-in, and I wanted to talk about a few things. If you're thinking about doing this yourself and was wondering what the cost was, you might be interested in this video because I'm going to break down all the costs associated with installing this kit. Alright, so let's go. So let's talk about the cost of the kit itself. Now your costs may differ depending on what kit you go for. The 1200 kit, 1250 kit, 1275 kit, the brand, if you decide to go with cams, what model year your Sportster is, and what other little add-ons you might want to get. But for me, I just went with a basic 1250 kit from Hammer Performance for my Iron 2016 Iron 883. So included in my kit, I picked up the 1250 kit, obviously, gap rings, clutch, primary gasket, and new spark plugs. Those were the recommended items that I pick up from Hammer, when you install the kit. All of those items ended up costing me a cool $830. I think shipping was free. So now to offset that cost, you might be able to sell your stock cylinders and pistons, though I don't know what you could get for them. I may end up keeping them or selling them, who knows. Okay, so that's the cost of the kit itself. In order to tune the kit correctly, you need to get yourself a Dynojet Power Vision. I mentioned this in my previous video, but the Dynojet Power Vision is the only tuner that Hammer recommends currently. It's actually a very nice tuner, and I think it's worth the investment in the long run. It has a lot of cool features that really allow you to customize your bike's performance, and it can also tell you various information about your bike, like miles per gallon, reading various engine codes, and things like that. The Dynojet Power Vision cost me about $450 new. I had originally thought that you could just get away with the Vance & Hines fuel pack, but Hammer does recommend the Power Vision over the fuel pack just because I believe the fuel pack doesn't have the right mapping or something like that to match their 1250 or 1275 kit. So for those of you guys who have already invested a little bit into the Vance & Hines fuel pack, although there are some YouTubers out there who have done it successfully, you might want to consider the Dynojet Power Vision. Okay, so those are just the basic items that you need, and the tuner and the kit itself comes to a whopping $1,280, but it gets better. If you have the mechanical chops to install this yourself, man, hats off to you. Apparently it's a pretty straightforward process from what I gathered, but I for one would rather have a professional handle it than myself. So the quotes that I received from different shops around my neighborhood or around my area was about 8 hours of work and a rate of $100 an hour. This might vary where you live, but I would consider just calling around to different shops and seeing what they have to say. This was from a few different shops in my area, like I mentioned. However, I found a mobile mechanic that was offering much more reasonable rates, and he would come to my house actually. So I decided to go with the mobile mechanic. He worked for various Harley dealerships in the past and was starting his own business, so of course I wanted to support that. He charged me a total of $500, which included an oil change as well at the end. Okay, so you have the 1250 kit installed now. The total is $1,780. Not too bad for a 50% jump in horsepower, but you should keep in mind that you'll need an oil change after the 500-mile break-in period. This is a pretty simple process you can do yourself, but again, I just had my local shop do that for me. That cost me another $100, but if you do it yourself, you'll just be paying for the oil, obviously. Oil and the filter. Okay, so we're done, right? $1,880 for a 1250 kit installed with fresh oil. Not quite exactly. During my auto tuning session, my check engine light came on. I used the power vision to check the error code, and it told me that the front O2 sensor had failed. So I sent a message to Hammer asking what I should do, and they recommended that I change out the O2 sensor and that they're fairly sensitive. So I bought a set of O2 sensors from Amazon for a total of $120. Add that to the top, and that brings us to about $2,000. Again, these things might vary for you as it does for me. Just because my O2 sensors went bad doesn't mean that yours will during the auto tuning session. So take what I tell you, what I give you with a grain of salt, knowing that these are ballpark figures. So after dropping about $2,000, inevitably I ask myself, is it worth it? I think that depends on how you look at it. It's definitely worth it in value when it comes to the horsepower that you get for your hard-earned money. To be fair though, I'm not quite sure if it adds much value to the bike if you decide to sell it down the road. I'll have to do more research there, but I think it should just add a little bit of value, but probably not too much. If you're looking for the best riding experience for your Iron 883, the 1250 or 1275 kit is going to make your ride so much more enjoyable. It's going to make a world of a difference. I don't have to shift gears around as much. Most of the time I can do my city riding mostly in third gear, to be honest. You'll be able to keep pace with bigger bikes, and you won't have to be worried about getting passed by a Honda Civic on the highway. What's ironic is that this jump in horsepower and torque is kind of whetting my appetite for a much more powerful bike. It's a little teaser or appetizer before the main course. I'm heavily considering a jump to a Softail at some point in the distant future. But for now, I'm pretty happy with my little Rocket Sportster. Do you have a 1250 or 1275 kit installed on your Sportster? If so, I would love to hear what you have to think. Well, that's it for me today, guys. Thanks for tuning into the channel, and if you haven't, make sure you press that subscribe button as it helps out the channel quite a lot. I hope you guys found the content useful, and until next time, peace.